This practice video looks at how to successfully assess colour vision. On the table I have 3 different assessments of colour vision. The one on the left, it comes from the Precision Vision Kit by Leah Havarainen. The test in the middle is one that's most commonly used to assess for colour vision. It's the Ishihara test. And the one on the right is the City University colour vision test. I'm going to start by looking in more detail at the City University test. Now, on the Learn page, under Additional Resources, you will find a properly commercially produced video on how to use this test. But I wanted to just have another little look at it with you, and also to show you this, which is the recording sheet that comes with it at the back of the folder. Now, if you can have just a very quick look at that, you will see that it is quite medical in its approach. So it's talking about the patient at the top, and also down here, if I can get this in shot correctly, it's actually asking you here in this column to state whether the person that's doing the test is looking at the colours using their right eye, left eye, or both eyes. If you were using this assessment in a school with a child or young person, I would not be expecting you to complete that part. So let's put that to one side, and if we open up the test, so you can see from there, I hope, that this test was devised by Robert Fletcher in 1980. It's the 2nd edition, and it's published by Keeler. So all the information that you would need to reference that test correctly if you use that for your assignment. So some instructions at the front, and this first page here is the test page to make sure that the child or young person that you're doing this test with actually understands what they need to do. So you instruct the child to look at the coloured dot in the middle, and they should tell you which dot is the closest in colour to the dot in the middle. You want them to use the words top, bottom, left or right, and you want to discourage them from touching the dots just to preserve the test and not have it marked in any way. So the first one is just the test, or the screener, if you like, the example. You'll see on the back in the corner there it's marked A to show you, and the rest are numbered 1 to 10. And so we would start again asking the young person which one is coloured dot is closest to the colour of dot in the middle, and hopefully they would say that it's the bottom dot, so I'm pointing towards. And if I show you the sheet here, where it's normal, it's got B for bottom here and an arrow going down. If they chose right, left or top, you would mark that accordingly. And by the time you've come to the end, you would find out more or less what type of colour deficiency that young person or child may have from those results. But really, that's not our job per se. We're really using this to find out if there's a problem with colour vision. Our job is not to diagnose what type of issue they have with their colour vision, in the same way we wouldn't diagnose a refractive error. So we can say that the young child or young person has difficulties with colour vision and make recommendations. We wouldn't be saying what type it is. That's beyond our job. does say in the test instructions at the front how many errors are permissible. As you get further on through the testing plates, from numbers 7 to 10, and here is number 7, you'll notice that the dots are smaller. So if there are more errors here, then it does say in the instructions that it's more likely that there is a colour vision problem. So this is quite a good test. I like it fairly well, and it's something that can be used. So let's move on from that one. And now let's look at a test that is very, very common indeed. And this is the Ishihara test for colour deficiency, 2001, published in Japan. And once I open it up, you will see the first plate here, and I'm sure that many of you will recognise that. In this first plate, unless someone has got really no colour vision whatsoever, then everybody gets this plate. Everybody understands and can read the number, mostly. Now, I'm sure that when you come to carry out the functional visual assessment, which is required for this assignment, that you will use the Ishihara test. It's very common in almost all services. It probably should be burned. I really dislike this assessment for using with children who've got a visual impairment. And the reason I say that is that there is lots of good published research that shows that this test is not appropriate for using with anyone who's got visual impairment and poor acuity, because you can often get false positives in terms of you think that someone the results show that someone does have does have a colour deficiency, when in fact they were unable to read the number because of poor acuity. So this test is a screening test. It's great for using with general members of the public, using it in a class where vast majority of children have got no refractive error, and therefore they will manage to find the numbers easily if they can see them, as they don't have colour deficiency, or even if they don't. But if you've got visual acuity, poor visual acuity, anything, I would suggest, if you're N14, N16, certainly N18 and above, anything that would really make you seen by VINSIP criteria, then you're really going to struggle seeing these numbers. So if you have to use it, you can. And then I would expect in your assignment to discuss the limitations of using Ishihara, but do be prepared that if you use the Ishihara test with children who've got poor acuities, then you may well get a false positive and think that they have a colour vision deficiency when in fact they don't. So this is the test. And there are some plates as the test goes on where there are no numbers, but you would want the child to track along the line between from one X to the other. This is a path that goes up the way and then down the way. On some of the pages, the paths go across the page. Here we go, here between the two X's. Actually, if you have got colour vision deficiency, you will find a path through it. If you're looking at the moment and thinking, I can't see the path, then indicates that your colour vision is fine. And here we can see, if you have good colour vision, you will now be able to see the path between the two X's on each side of the circle. But I really would advise you, if you can, not to use that with any child who's got poor visual acuity. So now we're going to move on to the final test, and I have to say that of the 3 tests, this test is my absolute favourite. So here's the manual. I'm just going to put that off to the side. If you haven't ever seen this test before, sometimes it comes in a long tube, and then I'm going to set out. I'm actually doing this out of shot at the moment, which is actually quite good. I'm setting out the discs, randomly knocking the camera as well on the table, and then I'm going to move them all move it all up so that you can see it in a moment. There are quite a few of them, but you can make this test shorter so there we go. There we go, lovely. All in shot. And if you were doing this with a child or a young person, quite young children are able to do this test, then you would set the colours out, perhaps a little bit more randomly, there we go, on the table like so. So push them further back so you can see, and I would start off with this one here. Now this one, this colour here is the Pilot, and if you turn it round on the back it's written Pilot. And I like this test because it's not relying on good visual acuity at all. This is purely an assessment of colour vision, and that is why I like it in comparison to Ishihara. And even there's another test which is similar to Ishihara, based on the same principles of colour dots, called Colour Vision Made Easy. It doesn't rely on the child or young person recognising numbers. It's about recognising some very simple geometric shapes, and then there's a part at the back where you've got a house, a dog, a boat and a car, but it's still, you still need to have very good acuity. This test and also the City University colour test, you do not need to have good acuity. So back to this one, start off with the Pilot, and then you're going to say to the child or young person which out of all of these is closest. So I think I'm going to go for that one, and then I'm going to go for this one here. You can still see that, and let's see if I can just do this quickly. Keep going, and I'm matching all the time. It's getting closer. Yes, okay, that's good. And keep going. And going. Oh dear, I can't see that now. See if I can get back into shot again. I'll just bring it round there. And no, I think I should maybe put that one in there. And the final two. There we go. So actually you can't see that. I'll just turn it up that way. Just moving these around. Now, I really should have practiced this before I did it on camera. Hope I'm not going to have to edit this very severely. So once the child has done that, you just keep matching to the closest, and then you turn them over, and the numbers should go sequentially. So let's see if I've got it right. Moment of truth, so far so good.
6, 7, 8, 9, so far so good, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Wow, I was lucky, I managed to get them all right. So that is how you do it. I'll show you in just a moment how you can plot this, so turning them all back round. Now, there is a little, here we go, little box that comes with it, and in the box we have these caps here. There we go, and they fit on top of the cap like that. You can see, so you're obscuring the cap and just leaving the small piece of colour in the middle, so it does make the assessment a little bit harder, but you don't have to use them. In fact, I think I've actually rarely used them. So it is a case of matching, finding the colour that's closest. So most young children can actually do it. However, if you might think that it's just a little bit too much, if you've perhaps got a child in nursery who you don't think is really going to quite be able to manage it, then what you can do is you can make a shortened version. So I've got Pilot, and then I'm going to go for 3, 6, 9, 12, and 15. There we go. Now, in this box, there's actually only one set of the caps, so you can get, does actually come as a double set. I don't know why I picked up the set with just the single ones. So with a double set, which you would get in the box, you can see that the box is fitted with 15 compartments. It's a double that would come in each one, and actually that is also shown here on the front of the manual. So I've picked out Pilot 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, and in my double set, you can't see that, so I'll just move that up. In my double set, I would take out the exact same ones, and I would give one of the doubles to the child, just leave those 6 in front of them and ask them to match to the set that they've got, and just give them one at a time. Wouldn't obviously do it in order, I would mix it up as well. So I might give them number 9 followed by the Pilot, followed by 3, followed by 15, and so on. You get the idea. And then once they've become familiar with that, then might add in, or I might add in 1, 4, 7, 10, and 13, and see if they could perhaps match the closest just using one set, or play the double game with a few more. So that would be how I would introduce it to a younger child, but lots of different play situations that you can actually use it with. Now in the manual it shows here how you can plot the results, and it does say that some crossings, so getting the numbers out of sequence, is fine, but others are not, and it tells you exactly here where the problems lie. Again, it's really not our job to say what type of colour deficiency that the child or young person has. We either say that their colour vision is within normal limits, or that there is an issue that would require further investigation. So that brings me to the end of this presentation.
video on